want to welcome to our circle and Salve Women. Today for 101, we are going to discuss, in connection with my article, the pyramid scheme on mind control. And this is really dedicated to anyone who has ever found themselves to be vulnerable and not really certain who to turn to. And because of your vulnerability and because of sometimes at a loss and maybe the cloud is gray, not really certain of who to turn to, there are those who will then come into your life who you feel are there sincerely. And the trickery in the mind of making you feel as if they understand you and that they truly have the right answers for you to help you get through whatever it is that you're going through. This is what I want to address. And I know it's very interesting to think, wow, this is considered a pyramid scheme. Absolutely. Because if you read my article, the top two most parts of someone creating a pyramid scheme, now of course that is in its financial, profitable type of schematic plan to get people to lure people in to whatever business that they're creating to make you believe that you are going to profit from their business, whatever it is that they're creating. You have to understand that that is very similar to what I'm going to be connecting with mind control. Now, mind you, the topmost parts of a pyramid scheme is that it actually funnels from the bottom to the top, so that there's a lot, as long as they can get people at the bottom to listen in on them, it will eventually get them. The idea is that then you are funneling everyone to the top who is really benefiting from everybody at the bottom, who they have influenced and have therefore created that substantial amount of lucrative fees that they have created, and that builds up really without the intent of anyone being helped at the bottom, but no one knows that, and it's really just benefiting the one at the very top. Now, the second part to that, of course, is the recruitment fees. They know that as long as they can continue to lure people in, they're profiting. Whoever's at the top is profiting from those recruitment fees with really maybe no intentions of giving anything in return. You don't know that when you're in a pyramid scheme. You just think, oh, there's promises for me to get better at this, and then therefore I will do better and make better for myself as long as I keep on and sticking with it. And once they've held you in and sold you that mentality, you feel like sometimes you've gone too far, you've invested too much of your time and your money into this, that it's hard for you to pull back. And that is that catch in life. So in me connecting this to mind control, again, I don't know how long this will take, but you have to understand that in this case, when you are vulnerable and you're looking for answers, you are thirsty, hungry for anything that can help you satiate yourself with whatever it is that you feel needs to be your filler. You're feeling this emptiness inside, and you are looking for someone to help fill you up with whatever you feel is necessary for you to move on and rise from the occasion, and therefore you can be better and stronger and be able to overcome it all. Well, in this case, they're just like a pyramid scheme. If you were not buying into what they were telling you, it doesn't matter. They're going to continue to fish because they know that there are days where they have no catch. And it's their job to know that if they're able to, whoever they can influence is who they're profiting from. And unfortunately, they know that it's the ones that are most hungry for a change. And so when you are most vulnerable, you have to be careful. Be careful of what you're allowing into your mind, because at this point, someone who you may think has the right advice is actually perhaps leading you into the wrong. They're not going to benefit from you being well. They're not going to benefit from you becoming stronger. They're only going to be benefiting from you needing them, feeling like you really need to have them in your life. And they sold you into this belief that as long as you're part of their business, that you are then going to thrive. And so as you're sitting there listening in, you start to buy into whatever they say. And it only takes maybe someone else who may be part of the scheme to convince you that, yes, this person really knows what they're talking about. They've done it all. They've been there. They know everything that there is to know. And so you need to trust this person. And, you know, when you think about heinous crimes, and for me, I'm one of those that, not essentially, as I've stated in my article, it's not as if I'm trying to glorify, you know, anyone who's ever done any heinous crimes, but I have always been really fascinated with the mind, is why people do what they do. And if you really look into how people get themselves lured into a belief where you're like, how in the world did you even arrive to that, you know, that understanding or that belief where you think that, where you started to think this was okay, it was more of this, you know, becoming desynthesized of anything that was wrong of it. And because it only took a few others who you also respected perhaps, or that you felt were just as good as you, and they started to follow along with you, you then started to be sold even more and deeper. And sometimes when you are part of a family, or so-called, right? Because I think too, you would have to think, some people think that, you know, there's that saying, we get hooked into these things, blood is thicker than water. And sometimes certain people in your family that have hooked you into a certain belief from the time that you were young to as you were continue to grow up, and you wanted to really truly believe that you are dedicated to, you know, the mindset of this family, it's hard for you to pull away from it. And then your thought becomes one. And this is that pyramid scheme that takes place into your mind, you not even realizing it, because all of a sudden you have become ingrained of everybody else's thoughts, or whoever was what this was at the top that made you believe that this was to be true, that this was to be believed, and this is the way it's supposed to be for everyone around. You read stories of people, you know, where it started with one leader, and then a few people all of a sudden started to follow, and next thing you know, their family started to follow. And because you knew no better, that you started to follow along because the people you loved also believed in the same system or same mindset or same belief, that you trusted the people around you to follow in, that they were following the right direction. And so you take on that path. And it's so difficult sometimes to walk away from that path, because by walking away from that path, you would think, oh my goodness, I've invested so much of my time and my energy, my heart, you know, my soul, my spirits in this. And if I walk away now, then this would also mean walking away from those I love. And that is where you are caught up in this scheme that all of a sudden you don't even realize you truly have had the opportunity to think about it and stop and go, hold on, have I gone too far? Have I sold my soul into this where I am no longer me? I am have now been married into this situation where now I am starting to convince myself that even wrong is right. And so in reading if you are connecting this with the article, you really have to think about how you have to be careful on such circumstances, because when you are empty, we're always looking for something to fill us. And people can see that. People who are fishing for those who are empty, they can see it from a distance. It's because it's in our attitudes. You know, we start to stoop, we start to look down, we start to look like we're just without light, and maybe in really seemingly darkness. And so all of a sudden there are people who befriend us and making you feel like they truly understand. And the next thing you know, they're feeding you into a mindset that perhaps if you were completely healthy, if you were completely in your full joy and full light, you would not have even thought to even give it a time to listen to. And yet, because in your vulnerable moment, you gave it time to entertain yourself. So be careful of the things that are going into your head, and know that when you're vulnerable, that is when you actually have to step away and surround yourself with healthy minded people. When you start to commiserate with people who love the struggle because they don't want to fix, Start being wise about that. When you start to see people that have been in the same circle all their lives and nothing has really evolved from their life, and that they come from wreckage, it's not to say that that is a bad thing, but those who have never overcome it because they have found comfort in it, you have to ask yourself, is this the mindset that I want to develop and adopt and then adapt to? Is this an adaptation that I am comfortable with, so that I also start to think this way? And will I be okay if my life 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the road is it still the same as they are in? Because if that is the case, then that is your choice. And again, I always say that no one should judge you for the choices you make. At the same time, you should not be bitter when other people do judge you, because if you're happy, it shouldn't matter what anyone else thinks. It's no one's business how you feel or how others feel about you. It is that the decision you've made is what you truly are content with and happy with. So there are great mind controls. There are great pyramid schemes. If you're surrounding with yourself with greatness, guess what? You are then going to thrive in that type of environment, and you're just going to keep getting higher and higher and higher. And when you're in light, guess what? The higher you are, I mean, think about the ocean depth. The higher you are, the closer you are to the sun, and the brighter you will be, because you're illuminated at that level, rather than if you're deeper and deeper into the ocean, falling into the abyss. So be careful not to fall into the depths of the abyss, because there are times where no longer can you see the bottom, or that you can't even see the top. You know, the pressure is lost, where you have no idea which way is up or down, and then you could fall deeper into it, where you have fallen to your demise. So what my final message to you then is, when you are in a state of feeling that you have fallen into some form of a mind control, or hopefully before that, you stop and ask yourself, am I okay with this? Because ultimately it is your choice, and whatever decision you make will either be your success or your failure. You cannot blame the world for when things continue cyclically and you have fallen into that cycle, because ultimately it is your willpower, it is your strength to get you out of it. No longer are you a child. So sad when children are brought into some type of a scheme where it's not healthy. Yet when you are a full-grown adult, you then have to step back and go, hold on. The people that I am following, have they been leading me into the right direction? And who am I following? And are they truly leaders where I can look at them with honor, and say to myself, that is what I also want to become. They're good, wholesome people, and they are good natured. They inspire people around them. They're not about darkness, they're about light. You have to make that decision. Whatever decision you make, it is your perspective. It is truly your perspective of the mind to see it as right for you, but it is also your responsibility and accountability to hold yourself to that and say, this is my choice. So buy into a pyramid scheme, then that is fine. But then ask yourself, what am I buying myself into? What have I sold myself into? And is this an investment I want to put my time, my money, and my spirit into? So with that said, God bless us all, in the words of my mother, and just continue to be aware of what's entering your mind, because at the end, it's going to affect your heart, it's going to affect your spirit, it's going to affect those around you as well. And just know that the further you are from light, the closer you get to darkness. The further you are from darkness, the closer you are to light. Whatever decision you make, you hold yourself accountable for that. Have a great day.